Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super Fantify. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season 1 finale of Apocalypse Bringer, Mynoghra. God, great episode. Also, mega depressing episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So I figured, and I was scared that things would take a similar direction to what they do. It's all there in the ending of the show's ending. It's always been there, but like I even saw the stuff with Isla in the ending. I'm like, is that implying something's going to happen to her? And lo and behold, it does. I mean, immediately picking up, like we saw, like Flamin had something in play that the moment Isla like put him down, but then like all of a sudden, like the girls get brought there and it's like, wait, why are they here? Takuto's on his own, like why wasn't he brought there? But it's all for the purpose of where the story goes. But it's like they were brought there for game mechanic purposes of this is and once again it becomes that clash between what Brave Questis does versus Eternal Nations. Eternal Nations being the 4G simulator versus versus an RPG, and like those rules clash a little bit, but like certain mechanics that exist in an RPG can transfer over, but they shouldn't be like the world shouldn't have to world shouldn't bend to it. It's more like those abilities manifest themselves in this world as they were in the game, but it shouldn't be like a one-to-one of like the world bends to the rules of that game. And that's where this whole situation comes into place, because Flamin's death is a scripted event and it forces the world that they're in to bend to that rule. So now, like, that's how Flamin's situation ends in the game, and he's like, right, and I remember it over and over and over again, and this is his kind of middle finger of like, well, this is what I'm doing. Like, he's like, oh, that person who told me and the Demon Lord, like, oh, that, you know, you conquer the world, you'll get free. He's like, it's BS. Because he's saying, I guess that should have been clearer to me who they were talking to. Obviously, it's the player. Where it's like, because the player on the Brave Questis side of things is very different from Takuto. They serve similar roles, but we've seen Takuto. He is the king versus the Demon Lord is like seemed to be the king, but really like he's just a puppet for the Brave Questis player, whoever it was. So now it begs to question how many other players were brought into this world from their respective games. This might be almost like a the Battle of Champions, different people from different games who are like the champions of the respective games. In his case, Eternal Nations for Takuto. This player's case, Brave Questis. Whoever's the best of the best. These two might not be the only ones. There might be other players in this world that might have something to do with the witch. Once again, she's died over and over again. She's like, oh, you've killed me like 17 times, or this will be the 17th time. So is she a player was kind of the question, or is she someone being controlled by the player? Because maybe she's from a completely different game. Maybe she's not even correlated or connected to the Questis stuff, because she might not be a being of this world. They allocate her as a witch because that's their understanding of her, but she's not like a witch of this world. She might be a witch from a completely like a third game, you know. But it sucks too, because you know Flamin's coming at this from the perspective of like he kind of wants to make them all suffer, because it's like, all right, this is the role I'm gonna play. Fine, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna do it. And like, are you watching the player behind Brave Questis? Are you watching Takuto? You don't care about any of us. None of us have our own autonomy. We're all like puppets on everyone else's string, which is not the case with Takuto. But I think when you think about it, it's like, well, he is, but he operates very differently from the others, because he would never like willingly sacrifice any of the people, because he does care about them. And you know, even Isla and Atu know how much Takuto cares about them, and obviously cares for the people that are under Mynoghra. But the real horrendous thing is that the girls have to go through this again. You know, especially when you got that heart-wrenching flashback where they're like, oh, look at the moon. And basically Takuto taught them, like, you know, I think, like, someone has to correct me. Like, I've always heard that because, it came up in a Persona game. But, like, I don't know, like, how true it is. Like, there is no, like, real word, like, direct way to say I love you in Japanese. You have to make, like, there's almost, like, soliloquy phrases that are the equivalency. And that's kind of what happened here, where it's like, oh, the moon is pretty, isn't it? It's supposed to be, like, an equivalency of saying I love you. And the twins share that with each other. And they want to surprise Isla. And it's like, oh, next, like, when the full moon comes, we'll show it with her and we'll surprise her with this phrasing. and they never get that chance because, of course, just to like dig, like I said, I was like, especially because they were making such a point to like make Isla like the mother to so many people, but specifically the twins, and her saying not, it's like, right, that was a death flag planted. That is gut wrenching. And like, it's one thing, like the girls already had to go through trauma with their mom asking them to eat her so they'll survive. Not only did they have to watch their mom like sacrifice herself and die in front of them again, she's asking them to do what their mom told them to do. And she's like, I did this royal succession. I learned this ability so I can pass on my powers to my successor. Takuto doesn't even know I had learned this ability, but this is the only way I can make sure that you girls survive and you'll be okay. Like, I'm sorry I won't be able to be here to protect you, but this is how, there's no saving me. Because at this point, they also can't interact with Takuto or the Brain Eaters either, because it's a scripted event. It's supposed to happen. Once again, that's why the twins were brought there, because it involves 3 players and 1 character has to sacrifice himself, because that's how the scripted scene works. And it's just like, that's such bullshit. And the problem is, Takuto can't bring Isla back. He even said, like, yo, be careful, because if something happens... I think he might have been talking more specifically to Atu, but he might have been talking about Isla. I can't remember. But the whole thing is, once a hero dies, they're dead. There's no resurrecting them. And it's just like, it sucks. Because I think for Takuto, it's just like, he thought he had it all planned out. He thought everything was okay. And to be blindsided like this. And even Atu, when she learns this, goes on a rampage. And she blames herself because she's like, I should have warned Takuto more. Because she's like, she did, and Takuto did warn Isla because she was like, right, be careful of the RPG mechanics. But like, they didn't really know the true dangers of what that meant, because then maybe Takuto really would have taken it to heart. Like, oh, this is how Flame's story ended, because he didn't really think about it until it like happened. And he's like, that's how his storyline ends in the game, is the scripted event of him blowing himself up and killing a player in a process. And just Atu's blaming herself because it's like, it was a smaller thing, but it's still like such a crucial detail that I didn't tell Takuto, and because of that, this happened. So she's like, I'm gonna get back to Mynoghra, but he's like, no, you need to head towards the enemy stronghold, because that's where the twins are going, because they ate Isla's heart, and now they are her successors, and they both have her power. You even see the messaging. It's like, oh, it's only supposed to go to one person, but an error occurs, and now it's like both of them have awakened, and and now they're going forward. They want their revenge. They're driven by their grief, and even says like at the end, like, they're not going to stop. Their grief and all that will not subside until they burn this world to ash. And it's just so heartbreaking. Atu's like, no, at the time like this, I need to be with you. He's like, it's an order, Atu. And she even says like, right, he's the best player of Eternal Nations. I have to put trust in my lord. I want to stay by his side, especially in a moment like this, because he's vulnerable. But for Takuto, it's more so like, we can't like lose more players. We can't lose more heroes now that the girls have risen to the position of heroes. And I think he also feels like, right, like, this isn't what Isla sacrificed herself for them to be on their own. We need to bring them back, because that's what she would want, that them not be alone. But the sad thing is, this has driven them even further. All the progress it took to like get them a little bit out of their shell, because for just a little bit they started to believe like, okay, this is our home, what we want, we can rely on other people. And Seria is like, nah, I can't. I was foolish enough to believe that we could. And so when she confronts like one of the other generals, she basically melts all those people, and you're just like, Jesus. Especially the main general being like, help me, and just like, she's like, my face, and she's like melting down. And it's like, just out of nowhere, this series could be so brutal in that capacity. And then Maria, her whole thing, it's like, she makes you forget. So all the enemies in front of her, she made them forget how to function. And then she's just kind of like, cool. And once you've forgotten everything, there's nothing left but love. She was always kind of the most disturbed of the siblings, with just her her like outwardly like Joker-esque happy disposition. And she's going even farther deep onto the deep end. They both have. Like, they've just kind of like, how they deal with trauma has just basically been expedited into the particular directions, where Seria like introverts and like bottles it all in, whereas like her sister creates like this very like fun, flamboyant, like extrovert energy. So like they basically have doubled down in their ways of dealing with how they present their trauma outwardly, And then her whole, and this is also in the endings too, where it's like you see like Maria take bites. That's part of her power. It's just, it seems like she could just take chunks out of the earth, and just bite. So she was biting the enemies, biting everything, and just like that psychotic look. Like I said, nothing left. Once you wipe away everything and forget everything else, all that's left is love. So they're on their own, and that's where we leave things. I was like, because I was like, yo, there's not enough time for this to be resolved. I'm like, are they going to make it to the Demon Lord and kill him? It's like, yep, that's where things are. I mean, we don't even know if there's going to be a season 2. Obviously, the episode just dropped today, but still, I don't know. Like, I wasn't. It's such a depressing season finale. You thought, this is, you typically it's like, oh, we'll end on a more uplifting thing or something like that. Like, I'm the evil lord of an intergalactic empire. You kind of end off on a victory. Everything's on an up and up and stuff, and things are going your way. Just to end us on a, nah, things aren't going your way. In fact, things are dire and sad and depressing and hard. That is a rough place to live, especially with no notion of like, oh, we're going to like get another season. Like, the fact is, it's constructed like that is nuts. That's crazy. The light novel is still ongoing, and so is like the manga adaptation. For what I was reading, someone was saying like, the manga cuts out a lot of details, obviously, because the light novel has the space and freedom to kind of like go as in depth about a lot of stuff. But like some stuff is kind of, it's faithful to the light novel, but it cuts out a lot of stuff and compresses a lot of stuff. Well, it's mainly like a lot of introspective dialogue and stuff gets cut. But also what I was Googling, take this for a grain of salt. This wasn't from anything Reddit-wise. Once again, that AI Google thing, I don't know how much you can take that, but it pulls from stuff. So apparently, I guess it's somewhere on the internet that this anime like basically adapts the first 2 volumes. I believe there are currently 8 published volumes of the light novel. You should also note too, this is like originally a web novel that later on got turned into a light novel, but the web novel is still ongoing too. So it's probably like, because it's like 2 years, because it started in 2017. I think the light novel didn't start till maybe 2019, or at least didn't get started publishing until 2019. So the novel itself, the web novel, is like probably way further ahead. But like, just like like obviously there's still like a lot of source material out there to adapt. Obviously it's not like, if it is true that like, oh, at least the first 2 volumes are adapted, that means like another season could be like volumes 3 and 4. I mean, who also knows like how much was cut or condensed for the anime, because that's typically what happens. So there's plenty more story to tell, and with a season finale like that, I need a season 2. I need it. I really do, because that's too depressing of an angle to leave this season off on. We need to like at least one more season. Like, you don't gotta adapt everything for the light novel. It'd be dope if you did, but that rarely happens. But even if we don't get that, at least put us on a more positive ending. Don't leave us with like this mega depressing ending with the sisters walking on their own. It's like, oh, they won't stop until the world is burned. It's like, I don't know how much luck A2 is going to have bringing them back, because they're drowning in their sorrow and pain, and it's just like they might not want to trust people anymore. Just, it took a lot for Takuto to get them to open up, and now it's like they lost another mother. They've kind of lost their faith in the world in general, because their takeaway is like, the world hates us. I mean, how else can you explain the world constantly grinding us down? It's like, what have we done? It's like, all you've done is exist, and the world has just treated you like shit. That's a depressing takeaway from this episode, and a very like depressing existential way to look at things. But I mean, when you're in it, you're in it. When you're in that depression and that spiral, there's no easy way to pull out. And I'm curious to see, like, going forward, would they be able to? I'm also curious, like, if there is a second season, would they change the subtitle? Because like the subtitle is like, what, the start of world conquest or something like that. But I'm curious, like, would the second season of an anime like have a different subtitle like that? Because I think that's also the subtitle of the light novel too. But I mean, because maybe it can change depending on like the arc. Like, there's the Demon Lord 2099, how like those arcs are based around whatever city the storyline is taking place in. So I'm wondering like if that's kind of the case of like, I mean, I guess you could also break it down like the arc is based around whatever game series they're going up against. So in this case, it's kind of like that was like the early stages of the Mynoghra stuff, and now we're in the maybe still early stages of the Brave Questus arc. So like I said, there's so many threads, especially with like the witch and the saint. like I said, I was not expecting to get anything with them, but we got some more catch. We caught up with them like 2 or 3 episodes ago. So that thread is still needing to be pulled on as well. So like I said, I need a season 2 to this. So hopefully we get some news soon. It's been happening lately, like well after I record these, ends up being like I repeatedly check it beforehand, but then it's like nope, sometime after I've already like edited and uploaded everything, it's like oh yeah, like news comes out that a new season has been officially announced. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, hoping for more. If not, there is always the light novel. I don't know how much of that's been like officially translated, so that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. So. But I've run my mouth off long enough. I need me a little pick me up afterwards because of this. I was avoiding watching other stuff because I thought like I don't want to watch that. It's going to be depressing. I watched this and thought we was like, well, the season's going to end on an upper. Nope, ends on a major downer. Cool. Now I definitely need my palate cleanser after this, and then I got another depressing show I'm gonna have to watch afterwards that I need to catch up on. Oh boy, but that's a me problem. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.